その依頼このウィリアム・ジェームズ・モリアーティがお引き受けしましょう。
Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation.
Today we're covering the anime Moriarty the Patriot.
Starring Aaron Dismuke as the lead. This takes on the classic Sherlock Holmes stories and focuses on the beginnings and crimes of William Moriarty and how he becomes Holmes' greatest enemy as the Lord of Crime.
But before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click notifications for some future podcasts and little pause videos.
And thank you for your support, for subscribing and joining us. We really appreciate you.
Yes.
This is one we've wanted to do for quite some time for two reasons. One, Aaron Dismuke and Ryan Cole-Levy.
Right? Two big voice actors.
And two favorites. And so we really wanted to do this for quite a while. And as we mentioned, it really focuses on William Moriarty. There have been other live action versions of movies that have done it, but none has done it like this.
That's true.
It's fantastic. So for those of you not familiar with this anime series, it's based on the manga by the same name, crime mystery thriller, written by Hikaru Miyoshi, and the manga itself is 19 volumes. The anime series, which is what we've watched, has 24 episodes with 2 OVAs. We haven't watched the OVAs yet.
Right.
We're looking forward to it.
Right. And we had heard about this anime a little bit. It's been recommended to us a few times. It's been mentioned a few times.
And also directly from Ryan Cole-Levy.
Right.
On Twitter.
And it's been out since 2014. And we started watching it, and we could definitely see why it became a favorite for a lot of people. However, there has been some talk lately on how come it has been talked about anymore since its premieres. Like, after it ended, it kind of just quietly vanished. We have heard people online, and they're making videos of, like, how come no one talks about the anime anymore?
The manga was out since 2014. The anime itself aired between October 2020 and June 2021.
Okay, then in 2020, it just kind of came and went, and no one really talked about it anymore after it finished, which was odd considering how big it was at the time.
And it was big for a reason. The plot itself is really interesting. It takes place in the 19th century, like all the other Sherlock Holmes properties.
Right.
And you see the first episode, and it is powerful and shocking and unexpected and different, and it had me hooked that first episode.
Right.
And we see Moriarty and his brothers as children.
Right.
And how this actually gets started.
Right.
And basically they are pretty upset that the British nobility is corrupt, and that is the thing they have in common with their hatred for the corrupt British nobility.
Right, and them doing these plots was their way of getting rid of crime. It was mostly the crime within nobility. And what's really interesting about this version is that it tells the story from a whole different angle. But unlike a lot of the stories that do this now, you are not supposed to be seeing Moriarty as the good guy. He is still the villain. He is still the antagonist. You're just seeing his side and his reasonings first. His actions are still terrible, even if the people were horrible, horrible people. And I do like that they don't try to say, oh, he's misunderstood. He's not really evil like they've done now, where no one's really evil. They're just all misunderstood bad boys and bad girls who end up going good. It's just he's straight up villain, that's it. And like, at least one of the few times they left the villain as the villain.
Yes. So how this ends up coming about quickly in the first episode, the first son of Earl Moriarty, Albert Moriarty, finds 2 orphans, Lewis and his brother. And again, they share a common hatred for corrupt British nobility in this particular world, and he adopts them as his brothers. And then they scheme together to kill Albert's cruel biological brother William, burn down the family estate, and start a new life together using illegal means to destroy the case system.
Okay.
Really interesting version, nothing like it. And you get to see a battle wits between Holmes and Moriarty later.
He does show up later.
But up until that point, you just get to see how brilliant Moriarty is and how they all work together to bring about the comeuppance of a lot of these people that are living in the city.
Right.
And some of them are creative, and as you mentioned, no, they're not seen as Robin Hood and the good guys, but you see why they chose to stop the people in their tracks who were doing this horror and wrong to people, whether they were personal friends or just commoners at large.
Right. And Holmes and Watson are introduced actually almost halfway through the series, so they give you a lot of time Moriarty and his group up until Sherlock shows up. Because when you do see Sherlock, you kind of wish you didn't.
Okay, so let's introduce you to the characters quickly. William James Moriarty is voiced by Aaron Dismuke as an adult and Emily Nevis as a child. Albert James Moriarty is voiced by Chris Guerrero, and you know him from Yuri on Ice. Louis James Moriarty is voiced by Howard Wayne, and Laura Stone, as a child. And you get Sherlock, voiced by Theo Devaney, who I'm not familiar with.
Neither am
He
I.
does an excellent job. And Watson is voiced by Ryan Colt Levy.
Yes, one of his roles.
Was fantastic, and I wish he got more screen time. He should have got more screen time.
Right.
Okay. Fred Porlock, voiced by Caleb Yen. Sebastian Moran, voiced by Christopher Wincott. Mycroft Holmes, brother of Sherlock, of course, voiced by J. Michael Tatum.
Right.
And then there's a specific female character in here that hasn't been in any other version. Irene Adler, voiced by, also known as James Bond, B-O-N-D-E.
Right.
Voiced by Natalie Van Sistine.
Right. And as you're going through the series, there's a different mystery almost every episode. At first, majority of them were like two-parter episodes. Then, as it gets towards the end, they start being either three-parters or one, up until the finale where it's a much longer two-parter. And you still have at least a good idea of how the characters are. Like I say, first half you get to see Moriarty, then for about 3 episodes you get to see Sherlock and Watson and how they are in this version. And it looks like they try to still stay true to who the characters were, just done in an anime style. And as for the design of Sherlock, it's horrible.
Well, it changes toward the last few episodes. Actually, all of the designs of the characters get improved. It looks different. And if they wanted to make the characters look different and stand out, I say they succeeded. And yeah, he has some of the weirdest expressions. Absolutely strange.
He looked like the guy you don't want to talk to in the bar. It was like...
And he was in a bar quite a bit.
Yeah, so it just proved that was the look they were going for. Like, what was the point of this design?
Now, what was the standout besides having a female character who becomes James Bond? Watch it, you'll find out. We won't spoil it. You also have the appearance of Billy the Kid.
Yeah.
Who's a Pinkerton agent working for the U.S. government. And you have Miss Moneypenny, who's been in the Bond films, and a version of her shows up working as a secretary for MI6.
Yeah.
So it was pretty neat that they worked all of these in.
Right, so like its own little universe.
And as you know, Bond and Moneypenny came about in the 60s, not only based on the books that were written, but the movies that were adaptations of the books.
Right.
But to put them in the 19th century. Is it 18th or 19th century. It was really interesting.
Right. So
we're looking forward to looking at those OVAs, because if the anime itself was as good, the OVAs have to be fantastic.
Right. And we also heard that they are also doing some stage plays based on the anime as well. And they're kind of breaking up into different segments so they can cover bigger arcs of the story and condense them down into 2 to 3 plays.
Now there's also a manga adaptation of the spin-off novel series written by Yosuke Saita titled Moriarty the Patriot, The Remains, It actually started running in Jump Square on March 3rd of 2023 and is ending with 3 volumes. And there's also a musical, you know?
Oh, there it is.
You know Japan and the musicals.
Yep, but I want to see how did they manage to make a musical out of this. They did one for the Death Note movie, so somehow they make it work.
It had a 5-run opus. And
Okay.
5 runs. And they ended September 10th of 2023. And the musicals follow the story chronologically, with the 5th covering the complete Final Problem arc.
Right.
And the characters that appear, I should say, in the musicals, of course, are Moriarty and Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty's brothers, Moneypenny, Watson, Moran, which is another character we didn't talk about, and Lestrade, who we also didn't talk about.
Right.
We don't want to tell you too much because if we spoil a lot of it, it definitely will not be as entertaining.
Right.
One of the big payoffs of watching this anime are the twists and turns you don't see coming, the unexpected, shocking revelations, and how it ends. And
Right.
telling you those things will absolutely ruin watching this anime for you.
Right. It's like
We're not gonna do it.
it's like Promised Neverland in a way.
Yes.
And oh yeah, another thing it mentions that it had a pretty good soundtrack in terms of openings, endings, and the scores in the middle of the episodes. They really kept to the time period and genre it's in. It didn't just try to put in rock music and rap and things and just completely take you out of it. They made a soundtrack that fit the world. And for me, I think for the terms of the openings, I think the second one is more fitting than the first one. Like nothing's wrong with the first one, but it's not like the second one fit more for what the tone was for the show. The first one sounded like it was really grandiose, over the top, and the other one actually sounded like it fit the tone of the anime.
Definitely. And if you're looking for something different, if you like mysteries, if you like crime thrillers and things of that nature, or this live action or anime, or even reading mangas, this is one you definitely have to watch. We didn't watch it, of course, when it originally aired. I wish we had, so we could have been in on the fandom during the time it aired. But it's no less entertaining and satisfying watching it after. You've got to watch this if you've never seen it. You are undoubtedly going to find characters you like. You're going to find episodes that are your favorites. You're just going to be floored by a lot of the plot twists, and you're not going to believe the ending. You absolutely will not believe how this anime ends.
Right, for sure.
And you will also get to hear the fantastic voice acting of every single character in here. There's not anyone whom you were listening to and thought, okay, this could have been better, this person was ill cast. Everyone was perfectly cast.
Yes.
This is well written. This is one of those rare finds in anime where there's nothing like it.
Right.
And unfortunately, now that it's gone and people have moved on to something else, it's not getting the aplomb and applause it deserves.
Right,
so
that's
we're going to
true.
recommend to you, go to Crunchyroll, watch Moriarty the Patriot, invest in it, it's worth it. Come back and tell us what you think. But if you've already seen this anime, let us know what you think in the comments. Did you love it? Did you hate it? There's no way you thought it was mid. And if you read the manga, let us know what you think and if it adheres to the manga closely, or if the adaptation takes some liberties that you're thrilled with or that you don't like. Let us know.
Right. And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and weekly videos for anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely. And just forgot to mention, this is, of course, based on the original creation by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. There's been tons of movies made since the early 1900s.
Yep.
Plays, musicals, and everything else.
Which is funny because the book ends up coming up as something in the anime later on.
Yes. But again, this is a standout and you should see it. And thank you so much for joining us. Please like, thank you for subscribing, and be sure to share it. It helps our channel out a lot.
Yes. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.